Hi writers! This week we are introducing paper number 3's unit. So in this paper we are dealing with sources that all ask the question in a different way of what is college for, and all of the authors will, there's sub-questions to this, but all of the authors will bring forth different perspectives on the purpose of college. So to help introduce this unit, I'd like for you to just grab a piece of scratch paper if you have a notebook for this class, or if you can have this video as a small window on your computer and then open up maybe like a Word document or a doc in your drive, but you will refer back to what you write here to help you answer your discussion board for this week. So if you want to go ahead and find somewhere to write or type some of your own personal responses to these questions that I'll ask about the purpose of college. One reason I want you to note your own ideas is because this paper will incorporate your own argument or opinion about the purposes of college. You will be making an argument in this final paper. And so it's helpful to sort of position ourselves. What did we think before we came in contact with all these sources? Even as we let the sources influence our perspective and our opinion a little bit, as we hear some things we might not have considered before. So, scratch piece of paper, here we go. First question for you, I'd just like for you to jot down your ideas on why did you come to college? Why did you decide to come here? So that can be, your motivation for wanting to come here, the benefits you hoped to receive out of college, different, influences that convinced you to come to college. So anything that comes to mind here for why did you come to college? And if you'd like, I do recommend pausing just to give yourself a few minutes. You might even set a timer for 2 to 3 minutes. Try to get deeper than what you would write just right away so that you can really get to those deeper motivations. Second question for you, what do you see as the main benefits of college? I want you to think the benefits for you in coming to college, which may already be part of your first answer, but you can also think, what are the benefits of college for our society? What are the benefits of having college-educated people in our society, in our culture, in our world? So again, try to think beyond only your first response. Your first response is valid as well, but think in addition to what comes to mind first. Again, maybe pause here and give yourself some time to write. And finally, the sort of overarching question we're dealing with this unit, what is the purpose of college? What's it for? Why do we have this institution? Again, pause there to get your ideas down before we move on. If what you mainly ended up writing about was to get a job or to prepare for a career, I now want you to think, well, what about besides that, beyond that? If we're going to say the purpose of college is something else or includes something else, what else would it be? What else might college be for? What other benefits might college provide? What does it provide for society? Why might some people argue that it's good for our society if more people have gone to college? So if those were sort of your first thoughts, well, it's to get a job, it's for career prep. What else? Again, pause there and add your thoughts to what you've got going on. So we're going to be reading several sources, like I said, that all ask this question in different ways or have different lenses with which they approach this question. They're going to have different arguments, different opinions, different perspectives. They're going to include different types of data, different types of evidence to support their ideas and their claims. And what we're going to be writing is a synthesis paper. So you will be making your own strong argument and incorporating sources. The sources will be provided to you. We'll have a large bank of sources that you can pull from depending on your approach to the topic. And you'll be incorporating some of the sources that we share as well. And we'll be writing a synthesis paper. So we'll have lessons about synthesis coming soon, but it's one of those phrases that we want to say. Oh, my cat hit my keyboard, sorry. It's one of those phrases we want to say a lot, this term synthesis, so that you have a really strong understanding. We want to reinforce what synthesis means lots of times throughout this unit. So to synthesize means to integrate multiple details from multiple sources to create a new, more complex thought. So you're going to be including some paragraphs that have multiple sources within them that all sort of help you get your argument about the purpose of college to be more complex. So I think of synthesis like a conversation that's occurring within your paper. You are in charge of your paper. You are the main voice in your paper, but you're inviting these different perspectives in to have this conversation. So every perspective you invite in doesn't necessarily need to agree or necessarily disagree with you, but they're providing interesting perspectives that add to the conversation that you want to have in your paper. So that does mean you're going to add varied perspectives, not only people who agree with you, not only people who disagree with you. You're going to invite multiple perspectives that help enrich that conversation so that your conversation about college, the argument that you make in this paper, is more complex and robust. You can think of synthesis like synthetic fibers that we make to make cloth. And the idea is, the person making the fabric pulls from pre-existing fabrics, right, to make something new. You can think of a synthesizer in music, which makes sounds into a new sound, right, a new, more complex sound. Or synthetic medicine, or synthetic drugs, right, which are made from other substances. So to synthesize means to draw on multiple sources and integrate information to form new, more complex ideas and understanding. I want you to, again, think of this paper as a conversation where you are inviting in these different perspectives. So as you read these different sources and all of their perspectives, I want you to think of how they interact with each other. So every time we introduce a new source that we're reading, you want to think, how does this interact with the ideas I had about the purpose of college? How does this interact with the other sources that we've already read? In some ways they might agree or overlap. In some ways they might conflict with each other or disagree with one another, or agree or disagree with you. So synthesis means we're looking for similarities and differences between the ideas that the sources are presenting. You want to make explicit and show your reader where these sources overlap and diverge. And the sources' varying perspectives should increase the effectiveness of your argument and therefore increase your reader's understanding of the topic. So that's just a brief introduction to synthesis. We'll have more lessons on synthesis coming soon. But I want you to start to think about, as we add these sources to the conversation and to what you already think about synthesis or about the purpose of college, is how all of these ideas interact. So you will use what you wrote here for these questions to help you with the discussion board for this week.